Senator Beck, Senator Black, Senator Crawford, Senator Mosley, Senator Trent. You have established a quorum.
Thank you. Now, today we have two bills to hear today, and first we're going to hear House Bill 115 and 99. Representative Shields, if you want to come on up, that'd be great. But I also want to let everybody know that we will probably go into exec session right after we hear Representative Shields' bill, because we have several committee members that, for some reason, we are going from one committee to another, and it's difficult, and it's necessary for me to have quorum, obviously, to exec out. So right now we're going to hear House Bill 115 and 99, and Representative Shields, you may begin when you are ready. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chairman and Chairwoman, and members of the committee. This is really fun to be in front of you today. I am Brenda Shields from Northwest Missouri, which is St. Joseph, Missouri in District 11. Today I'd like to present to you House Bill 115, legislation pertaining to direct access to physical therapists. Senate Bill 51, which is this bill's companion legislation, was passed in the Senate several weeks ago. Currently in Missouri, a patient may only seek treatment from a physical therapist if they have been referred to therapy for the same condition in the past 12 months. This legislation would allow a patient to visit a physical therapist 10 times within 30 calendar days before a PT must consult with a physician. If the PT is not seeing improvement, they must refer the patient to a physician immediately. It should be noted that this law will still allow a patient, if they so choose, to see a primary care physician, an orthopedic surgeon, a chiropractor, massage therapist, or any other healthcare specialist before they see a PT. It simply allows a patient to make a choice. Recent studies have shown that in states with direct access to physical therapy, which is 47 other states, patients that have access to direct care have fewer visits and less overall cost. Direct access is about individual choice in healthcare decisions through the elimination of unnecessary and burdensome regulation, allowing individuals to make their own decisions regarding their own health, and that, I believe, is good policy. Eliminating the referral requirement is one step to making healthcare more accessible to more people. And with that, Madam Chairwoman, I'll be happy to take any questions.
Thank you so very much. So now, before we go into, are there any questions by the committee? Any questions for Representative Shield? Okay, so seeing none. Before we go into the testimony in favor of or in opposition of, could I have a show of hands of the number of folks who would like to testify in favor of? Okay, I was just making sure that we weren't going to get into a situation where I need a lot of time. So go ahead, whoever would like to come testify in favor of, please come forward. And again, I apologize for this strange voice. I'm sure I'm going to... Yeah, I feel like it's painful to hear, but please make sure you fill out a witness form.
Just leave it up here.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. My name is Jennifer Schneiders, and I'm the current president of the Missouri Physical Therapy Association. I'm here today, once again, to testify in support of House Bill 115 for you. Obviously, you've already heard the Senate version of this bill and voted it out of this committee. There is nothing different in my testimony, and I'm just here to reiterate that this is something that has been agreed upon by many different parties. We've made the concessions that were necessary and desired. This bill doesn't change what we do. It just improves the access to the services that we provide, and it gives the consumer a choice in which healthcare provider they are going to seek care for musculoskeletal injuries. All physical therapists graduate with a doctorate in physical therapy at this point, and so there are multiple safeguards built in place to protect the consumer, but also to allow a good collaboration between the physical therapist and the healthcare provider of the patient's choice. So if you have any additional questions that I can answer, I'd be happy to.
Okay. Are there any questions for this witness? Seeing none. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
And now, do we have any other folks that would like to testify in favor of? Seeing none, do we have anybody who would like to testify in opposition to? Well, hello, Mr. Ryan DeBoof.
Thank you, Senator. My name is Ryan DeBoof. I represent the Missouri Association of Osteopathic Physicians and Surgeons, recognizing that the Senate Bill 51 was already voted out of this committee and was voted on the floor, unanimous -1 vote. I'm not going to spend much time. I just want to go on the record in opposition to the bill for the same reasons we were on the record in opposition to Senate Bill 51. Happy to answer
Absolutely.
any questions.
Are there any questions for this witness? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Do we have any other who would like to testify in opposition of? Seeing none, do I have anybody here that would like to provide testimony on for informational purposes only? And seeing none, so that will conclude the hearing on House Bill 115 and 99. And so, in essence of being able to accommodate the schedules of our committee members, I move that we go into executive session. Do I have a second? I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. We are in executive session. I move that we bring House Bill 115 and 99 before the committee. Do I have a second? Thank you. The bill is before the committee. So House Bill 115 and 99, we heard today that would establish limited direct access for physical therapy. I move that we do pass House Bill 115 and 99. Do I have a second? Thank you. Second. Any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Esslinger,
Aye.
Senator Brown, Senator Beck, Senator Black, Senator Crawford, Senator Mosley, Senator Trent.
By a vote of 6-0, you have voted do pass on House Bill 115 and 99. So now for Senate Bill 88, we're also going to exec out. I move that we bring Senate Bill 88 before the committee. Do I have a second? The bill is before the committee. I have a Senate committee substitute, and I move that we adopt the Senate committee substitute for Senate Bill 88. Do I have a second? Okay, so Senator Brown, do you care to explain your substitute?
Yes, we were able to work with professional licensing and some of the parties that were originally opposed to the bill, and I think we're able to make some compromises where the intent of the bill is intact. It's going to help our states be competitive with other states neighboring us that have enacted similar policies, while also ensuring that we opened up the testing requirements to ensure that there is accountability there, and that we have a probationary 1-year period where you can have a temporary license, where you have to go through that period without having any kind of disciplinary action before getting a license through these measures. We also accounted for interstate compacts as to ensure that we aren't interfering with those as well.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Committee members' questions on Senate Bill 88? Senator Beck.
Yeah, I just want to address this bill. I currently will not be able to support it in committee, but hopefully we can work on it a little bit more on the floor and get it to a point to where I can be an advocate for it. Thanks.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor of adopting the Senate committee substitute say aye. All opposed, nay. Ayes have it. You have adopted the Senate committee substitute. I now move that we do pass the Senate committee substitute for Senate Bill 88. Do I have a second? Any further discussion on the do pass motion? Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Esslinger,
Aye.
Senator Brown, Senator Beck, Senator Black, Senator Crawford, Senator Mosley, Senator Trent.
By a vote of 4-2, you have voted do pass on Senate Committee Substitute 88. And now we're going to move to Senate Bill 79. I move we bring Senate Bill 79 before the committee. Do I have a second? Thank you. The bill is before the committee. I have Senate Committee Substitute, and I move that we adopt Senate Committee Substitute for Senate Bill 79. Do I have a second? This Senate Committee Substitute is a product of Senator Schroer, working with many physicians and nurses and healthcare stakeholders and probably everybody in this building. Would you like to address? Oh, wait a minute.
You have to. He's not allowed to.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're not allowed to.
This is the explanation of what the substitute does.
What I'm going to do is go through the explanation of what the substitute does. I'm sure that you probably could do it better than I, but I'm going to do this. So basically what the committee substitute is going to do is allow APRNs to prescribe Schedule II substances for just hospice patients. It will waive geographic proximity requirements when the collaborative practice arrangement uses telehealth, and it will waive the 1-month waiting period if an APRN is serving the same population base under a new collaborating physician. It also establishes a license for APRNs, and it mandates that the Board of Healing Arts must make information publicly available about which physicians and other healthcare providers have entered into a collaborative practice. Are there any further discussion on the adoption of the substitute?
Just-
Senator Black? I mean,
I'll be back today. Just to be clear, this new substitute we just received is different than the one we had last night, correct? Okay.
there was a correction in the substitute you received last night that removed, it was just an error that was left in that wasn't intended.
Okay, all right. I just was making sure
Sure.
that's clear. Thank you.
All right, any further discussion? Senator Trent?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm certainly have been pleased to see the amount of work that has gone into this measure. My sense is that there may yet still be some more work to go into it, but I'm hopeful that we can eventually reach an agreement that everyone can get behind with complete enthusiasm. But I am very pleased with the amount of progress that's been made so far. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor of adopting the Senate Committee substitute, say aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. You have adopted the Senate Committee substitute. I now move that we do pass Senate Committee substitute, Senate Bill 79. Do I have a second? Any further discussion on the do pass motion? Mr. Secretary, call the roll.
Senator Esslinger,
Aye.
Senator Brown, Senator Beck, Senator Black, Senator Crawford, Senator Mosley, Senator Trent.
By your vote of 5-1, you have voted do pass on Senate Committee substitute, Senate Bill 79. So, we're not going to.
Need a second.
So we're going to go out of executive session. I need a second. We have now, we have to have a vote on executive session. All in favor? Thank you. All opposed? We have now exited executive session, and we're returning back to regular committee, our regular hearing. And so now we will hear Senate Bill 184. And we're looking for Senator Arthur. We're going to give Senator Arthur just a minute to come. She's in another committee at this point. Good morning. I think I'm on the wrong page. What is her bill?
Apologies to keep you waiting.
No worries. You may begin when you are ready.
Thank
We'll be
you.
hearing, look to see which one your bill number is. 184. Senator Arthur.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I'm so pleased to introduce the Senate Committee substitute for Senate Bill 184. This bill, I'm going to run through what it does really quickly, but I think it's more important that you hear from the people who are here to testify about the why we need to do this. Really quickly, this bill contains two important provisions. The underlying provision, it should be easy. The Senate approved this yesterday in a bill that we perfected, and it exempts diapers from sales tax. Currently, Missouri imposes a 4.225 sales tax on diapers, and that's the same rate imposed on things like luxury items like motorboats and sports cars. Diapers, as you know, they're not luxury items. They're a necessity, and it's essential to babies and toddlers to stay clean and dry and healthy. And a lack of diapers can result in a number of serious health issues. 1 in 3 families struggle to provide clean diapers for their baby, and those items are not covered by state and federal welfare programs, and so those costs really do add up quickly. The underlying bill makes diapers exempt, like I said, and that would provide tax relief for many families. The Senate committee substitute, the part we added on, includes the governor's proposed 3 tax credit programs to help build out the child care infrastructure. The Missouri Chamber of Commerce released a new report that found Missouri misses out on $1.35 billion annually, including a $280 million annual loss in tax revenue just due to healthcare issues alone. Additionally, 28% of respondents in that report said that they or someone in their household left a job or did not take a job because of problems with child care. So we want to address those issues. The 3 credits include a child care contribution tax credit, an employer-provided child care assistance, and child care provider tax credit. So we're using different tools to really target both the business community involvement, and to prop up those providers themselves. The child care contribution tax credit, it allows businesses, charitable organizations, individuals to claim a tax credit of up to 75% of a verified contribution to a licensed child care facility. And it has to be made directly to the provider to promote things like the acquisition or improvement of facilities, equipment, or services. It can include the improvement of staff salaries, training, or the quality of child care. The second tax credit is the employer-provided child care assistance tax credit, and that's really to incentivize employers to consider providing this as a benefit to their employees. It allows them to employers to claim a tax credit for up to 30% eligible child care assistant expenditures. And it's modeled after a federal program, but it is intended to sort of complement that federal tax credit. Finally, the third tax credit is the child care providers tax credit, which allows those providers to claim credits for eligible payroll tax withholdings for employees and up to 30% of eligible capital improvements for their child care facility. There aren't any similarly structured tax credits related to child care in other states, but it is modeled after some Missouri programs like Missouri Works. All 3 credits would be capped at $20 million each year, and there is the option to increase that and by 15% for areas in a child care desert if that cap is met. It does include a sunset. We do want to make sure that these programs are working as intended. I'm really happy to work with anyone on this issue. I know that this is just one piece of what will be a multi-solution process over several years, but I think that this is really where the legislature should focus its efforts and help babies first and foremost, and families and our communities. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Senator Arthur? Seeing none? Oh, Senator Brown.
Could you go over the percentage of the tax credits?
Sure. And I don't know if we have actually a chart that should make it a little easier to compare those tax
Okay.
credits.
Can't you do that?
I'm going to take one. Thank you. So the first is the child care contribution tax credit, and that would allow up to 75% of the verified contribution. There is a cap on the annual credit for an individual taxpayer, and that's $200,000, and then the program cap is $20 million. I should mention, through some discussion on the floor, we did, and it's not reflected in this substitute, but it will be reflected in future substitutes. We want to make sure, there was some concern that church or religiously affiliated organizations would not be eligible, but with the change that we've made, any church or religiously affiliated organization that's registered with DESE as a child care subsidy provider, eligible provider, that they would also be included in this.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Any other questions?
I do.
Senator Beck?
So that's kind of like the language we did on the floor the other day, to make sure they're licensed and registered with
So
Senator
they don't have
Fitzwater's
to.
bill.
They don't have to. Not both. Anyone who is licensed can
In
be
the
eligible.
chapters, I mean, it's spelled out in the
Yeah,
chapters,
but they can also be unlicensed, but they do have to be registered.
Right, and that's what we did the other day,
Yeah.
license exempt or whatever. it is. Okay,
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that was the case.
Yep.
Thanks.
There are still those minimum safety and quality standards in place.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other questions for Senator Arthur? Okay, seeing none. So now we'll have testimony in favor of.
Good morning. I'm Susan Belgeron-Gulo. I am the co-executive director and development director at Happy Bottoms, Kansas City's only diaper bank. Thank you for allowing me to testify today. For those of you who may not have a child or grandchild currently in diapers, do you really know how expensive it is to buy diapers that can carry on week after week, month after month, year after year? For some legislators, eliminating diaper sales tax may seem like a waste of time, or question how is the state of Missouri going to survive without this revenue. You might be thinking, what does it matter? Well, in the current climate of increased inflation, any tax relief is a welcome relief for Missouri families. We see the effects of inflation firsthand every day. On average, a child requires at least 50 diaper changes per week, 200 diaper changes per month, or 2,400 diaper changes a year. The average cost of a month's supply of diapers is $110. In the course of a year, the state sales tax savings to a family with one child would be roughly $52.37. A drop in the bucket for most families, but for a family barely making ends meet, this savings might mean more grocery items, paying on a bill, or purchasing something else their child might need. Happy Bottoms, Kansas City's only diaper bank, is dedicated to collaborating with the community to empower, connect, and impact low-income families by alleviating diaper need. In 2022, Happy Bottoms provided over 2.4 million diapers to 12,000 children in Jackson County, Clay, Cass, Platte, and now Ray counties. There are 8 diaper banks in the state of Missouri that serve roughly 150,000 children annually and distribute nearly 8 million diapers to families residing in both rural and urban communities. Last year, Happy Bottoms, along with the Diaper Bank of St. Louis and the Diaper Bank of the Ozarks, co-founded the Missouri Coalition of Diaper Banks to share resources, ensure families and children were covered with basic needs, and to advocate for the change in how these items are taxed. Happy Bottoms has seen firsthand the impact that diaper need has on a family. Diaper need impacts the physical, mental, and economic well-being of children and their caregivers. Lack of diapers has a profound and complex impact on families, including health risks like rashes and urinary tract infections for children, and mental problems such as stress, anxiety, and depression for both the parent and the child. Diapers are essential to a baby's healthy development, as is a mother's love. Keeping infants and toddlers clean, dry, and healthy are key to building a solid foundation for all children to reach their full potential. But 1 in 3 families struggle to provide these clean diapers for families. Diapers are a basic necessity required by all infants and children to maintain good health. Without diapers, babies cannot participate in early childhood education programs, and without child care, parents can't go to work. To make matters more difficult, low-income families have even a harder time accessing affordable diapers if they live in a neighborhood that do not have big box stores like a Target or a Walmart, and many of these places are hard to get to on public transportation. This means families or single-parent households without a car are forced to buy more expensive diapers from the corner store or the gas station. Parents who don't have a good supply of diapers may even try to clean or reuse a soiled diaper or leave a diaper on longer than recommended, causing skin irritations or serious infections. Families purchasing diapers not only pay the state luxury taxes Senator Arthur mentioned, the 4.25%, but if you live in Jackson County, you are also charged with a Jackson County tax of 1.25%, a Kansas City, Missouri sales tax of 3.25%, and a special CID tax of 1.3% in some areas of Kansas City. Altogether, that's a 9.86% tax on top of the diaper cost, which has increased by 18% over the past year. There are currently 12 bills being offered by the Missouri senators and House representatives that address this issue. Half are exemption, half are reduction. The Missouri Coalition of Diaper Banks supports the bills for elimination. At least 14 other states have passed the bill, either eliminating or reducing tax, including Maryland, Florida, Indiana, Virginia, Colorado, and Iowa, which all passed legislation last year. Governor Kelly in the state of Kansas has made elimination of sales tax on diapers and feminine hygiene a priority for 2023. Implementing a sales tax exemption for diapers would allow families and individuals living at or well below federal poverty level some relief to afford these other basic needs. This legislation is critical to getting Missouri families to work, school, and child care. I urge you to support exempting diaper sales tax. While SB184 speaks to the elimination of sales tax on diapers, I would be remiss not to say that the Missouri Coalition of Diaper Banks is also in support of elimination of the luxury tax on feminine hygiene products, too. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Are there any questions for this witness? Seeing none. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chairwoman. Kara Corches on behalf of the Missouri Chamber of Commerce and Industry in strong support. A lot of people used to think that child care was just an issue for working parents to figure out, but what we have found through polling, through research, and through nonstop calls from members and businesses of all sizes across the state, that child care is a workforce issue and it's an economic issue for the state. Senator Arthur discussed some of the survey results, talking about $1.35 billion lost to our economy because of child care issues. I mean, this is a big concern. When parents can't go to work because of child care issues, the state loses out on tax revenue. What's even more alarming, we found through our survey that almost 10% of working parents voluntarily left a job because of child care issues. We're in an extremely tight labor market. I think the last statistic I saw, 2.8% unemployment. We can't afford to lose a single working parent, and this bill is an important piece of the puzzle to address our multifaceted child care crisis. What we also found this year, we sent out a survey to businesses across the state, members and non-members. Almost 80% of businesses cited child care being a big barrier to their ability to recruit and retain their workforce. We really appreciate that these 3 different tax credit programs, they're very innovative. This is a very complex problem, and so it's going to take an innovative solution to start chipping away at the problem. We also hear a lot about on-site child care, which is part of this. And so when we think of on-site childcare, a lot of people think of large businesses. However, the way these tax credits are designed, the smallest businesses from the state are going to be able to utilize them and benefit. Especially when we think about the child care contribution program, you could have a small business owner that could put in perhaps $100 a month to their their employee's child care provider. And that'll go a long way to helping retain that worker. We also appreciate that there is emphasis on building up our child care workforce. The workforce of all industries across Missouri relies upon the availability of our child care workforce. A nurse in Franklin County isn't going to be able to go to the emergency room for their shift if their child care provider shut down. A critical utility worker in St. Louis isn't going to be able to go repair that down power line if they don't have someone to watch their children. We also really believe that this bill and this package goes a long way in building out our capacity within our child care network, which is really, really important. Employers want to support their employees. I know our members believe employees are their greatest asset, and this program and these proposals ensure that employers have skin in the game in investing in their employees' child care costs. It's not a one-to-one match, but I think it's going to go a long way in getting employers in the mindset to start thinking about child care benefits almost like health care benefits. There's not a single golden ticket, as Senator Arthur stated, but this is going to go a long way in starting to chip away at this crisis. And so for these reasons, we are in strong support and appreciate the Senator for bringing this forward.
Thank you. Thank you. Are there any questions? All right, seeing none. Next in favor.
Hi, my name is Ashley Allison. I'm the marketing manager for Happy Bottoms, Kansas City's only diaper bank, and I am testifying in support of SB184. And I love that they've added the child care provisions because diapers and child care actually go hand in hand, because child care providers require that families provide diapers for the time that the child is there, and so if they don't have diapers, they can't attend child care, and that's another barrier for the child being able to get that early education, as well as for families returning to the workforce. So, diapers are a basic need and not a luxury. They provide comfort and cleanliness to our most vulnerable population, our babies, and they're an essential purchase for one of the most fundamentally important segments of our population, young families. Despite diapers being a basic necessity, there are no federal safety net programs to cover them in Missouri, and in Missouri, they are taxed at the luxury rate. And we've begun talking to our supporters and our volunteers about our advocacy work and how diapers are taxed in the state. And it doesn't matter what their demographics or their social class or their political leanings are, their response is always the same. Are you serious? Like, they cannot believe that diapers are taxed at the same rate as things like motorboats, sports cars, tobacco. So it's a no-brainer, and we really need to do something about it. Happy Bottoms is one of 7 diaper banks in Missouri that have formed a coalition, as my colleague mentioned. The model that diaper banks use is that we provide diapers to families through local service agencies because we want families to get connected to wraparound services. So if you need help with diapers and you type into Google that you need help, you're going to find our website. We're going to connect you to a food pantry or a parents as teachers organization or one of 66 organizations that we work with that can provide that wraparound care for families to really help their overall situation. And as we're communicating with our agency partners about their anticipated needs, the increase from last year is really staggering. In January of last year, we sent about 101,827 diapers to agencies. In January of this year, it jumped to over 174,000. And we just got our February numbers in. February 2022, we distributed 175,523 diapers, and last month, we distributed 259,965 diapers to our agencies. That's a 48% increase from last year. So January was not an anomaly. This is something that's going to continue to be increasing. And what this tells us is that inflation and layoffs and other factors in our economy are making it harder for more and more families to afford this basic need for their child. I know one of the obstacles to passing this type of legislation, or so I've heard, is the implication on the fiscal note. And as a private citizen, I do appreciate that responsibility. But I just think that we have, between the legalization of marijuana that seems to be exceeding revenue expectations so far from what I understand, Hopefully, sports gambling legislation that will pass, surely we can find room in the budget to provide for our most vulnerable citizens, our babies and toddlers, so that they can stay clean, happy, and healthy. And lastly, I would just like to emphasize that there's a movement happening around the country regarding this issue. 21 states currently do not have a sales tax on diapers, whether they've exempted it or they just don't have a state sales tax in general. But that's going to be increasing rapidly over a short period of time. I get Google alerts to my phone every day with everything regarding diapers, so I can communicate with our supporters and volunteers about what's going on with the market. And it seems like every single week there's a new state that is moving this legislation forward. Most recently, Georgia and Arizona. And as my colleague mentioned, Governor Kelly in Kansas is also a big proponent of this issue. So let's not let them beat us to it. The time is now for Missouri. We need to show that strong families are a priority in our state. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so very much. Next witness. In favor of.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am Nancy Giddens today, here to support this substitute for 4 entities: United We, the City of Kansas City, the Greater Kansas City Chamber of Commerce, and the Civic Council of Greater Kansas City. And I will just summarize and say much has been said about the labor shortage the last few years. Much has been said about the child care needs. We all know these issues aren't easy to tackle, so they'd be dealt with already. But we certainly see this as a meaningful step toward dealing with some of these issues. We certainly appreciate the work Governor Parsons put into this, the Senator, and each of you, and certainly would appreciate your support on the substitute.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Next witness. Good morning.
I want to say that I'm very supportive of this House bill. Hi, I'm Paula Binney. I own
Thank you.
CNS Business Services. We're an employment service here in town for over 45 years. I was also appointed to the Central Workforce Development Board. I also served on the Executive Committee for the Jefferson City Chamber of Commerce, and I currently serve as co-chair for the Workforce Coalition and Child Care Action Team. Through these coalitions, we identified child care as a top priority. Long story short, I got a crash course in child care and the struggles they are enduring. I was fortunate to be partnered with our local Childhood Hub 16 group. Together, we have come up with many ideas on how to solve and help our businesses in the child care realm. Through these coalitions and many meetings between businesses, centers, and advocacy groups, we grew an understanding and a desire to help each other. We decided one way to help our centers is to forge a partnership between our businesses and child care centers. We expanded our Partners in Education program to include early childhood centers. Businesses and centers were matched. Centers were asked for a wish list. What are your needs that a business could help you with? It could be as simple as chalk and bubbles to help with employee handbooks, manuals, training, and education. It also included outdoor equipment and employee and supplies. The centers were overwhelmed. They had never been asked, what do you need before? Our one center had called in desperation where a refrigerator was out. In our wonderful community, a couple of phone calls and we found a used refrigerator. That center did not have to close down. The parents did not have to come and pick up their children from leave work and pick up their kids. In turn, the centers are coloring pictures for their partner for the hospital patients. This program is only getting started. We are only just exploring what that partnership can do. Because of this networking, we are seeing centers helping each other. We are seeing businesses step up and ask, what can I do? For our businesses to get a 75% tax credit, they could do a lot more. They would be incentivized to do a lot more. This would be huge for our businesses to get involved and encourage them into this partnership program. I was supposed to do a presentation for the Camdenton Chamber of Commerce this morning. They wanted to know what the Jefferson City was doing in the workforce in child care. But I felt this was much more important, and they strongly agreed with me. I believe our businesses right now are eager to help, and we are figuring out on a local level what that looks like. A tax credit would greatly incentivize our businesses to get involved and to do more in solving our child care issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for this witness? Seeing none. Our next witness in favor of. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chairman and members of the committee. Samuel Lee with Campaign Life Missouri. We want to go on record in support of this substitute, and I know that this issue was debated quite a bit on the floor on Senator Fitzwater's bill, and I know that the language has been worked out so that those licensed and license exempt subsidy child care providers who are getting the subsidies, they'd be included. And I was looking at that list last night, and there are a number of churches that qualify. And I think with this change, they would be part of these programs, and we're very grateful.
Thank you. Any questions for this witness? Seeing none, thank you. How many more do we have in favor of? Oh my. We are going to limit your responses, and we do not want to repeat what's already been shared. I'd like to have everybody have the same opportunity as the first witness, and I'm going to ask our secretary to start a clock. 2 minutes. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Emily Van Shankoff, and I'm the Executive Director of the Missouri Children's Trust Fund, and it's our mission to make the state of Missouri the safest place to raise children. I really want to highlight the aspects of this committee substitute and what this will mean for Missouri children and families and their safety. I want to really actually highlight the very seriousness of this issue. The child care crisis is absolutely threatening and endangering the lives of children in our state right now. Affordable and quality childcare is becoming an endangered species and a luxury good. We all accept that if you've worked hard and made a lot of money, that you can live in a 5,000 square foot house, you can buy a $3,000 bag, you can take a first-class flight to Paris. But it is not understandable that quality childcare should be available only to high-income individuals. All Missouri families, low-income, middle-income families, deserve to be able to put their children into facilities that care for them in quality ways. This childcare crisis is threatening the safety of our children. It is threatening the security of our families, and it is threatening the future of our economy. I am here to ask for your support because this is a big problem. And if we do not get in front of this problem and really begin as a legislature and as the administration to solve it, the train wreck is only going to get worse. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none. Thank you. Next witness.
Good morning. My name is Cortega Collins, and I am the founder of Good Shepherd Early Learning Center. It's the early childhood facility in St. Louis City, and also in Warrenton, Missouri. And I'm here to represent the providers aspect and to show my emphatic support for this bill. I came to talk about the tax credits, but I wanted to give you some context about the diaper issue as well. I do want to make you aware that as a provider, I have seen some of the issues that they have told you guys about. I have seen children come to me in the morning in the same diaper that I sent them home in the night before. I have seen children come to me with fecal matter pasted to their bottoms. So I emphatically support these bills. I also wanted to make sure that I mentioned just how important these tax credits will be for not only for providers, but for child care overall. This will provide some financial relief for providers. Some of us who are working with the most vulnerable members of our society are having to make a distinction between making repairs to our buildings and providing quality materials and resources. So I think one of the distinguishing issues here is not just is child care, but also access to high quality child care. And there is a huge difference. And so these tax credits will allow us to be able to improve the quality of care that we are providing to children. And not only that, we're talking about workforce issues. The child care industry is having issues with workforce as well. And so these tax credits will allow us to be able to attract and retain qualified staff. We have seen a mass exodus from the child care industry, and we have people who genuinely love children but cannot provide the care for them during these crucial early years because they cannot do it to the detriment of their own families. This will allow us to be able to pay salaries so that some of my staff that works for me, they still qualify for food stamps, and that should not be the case. Not to diminish the importance of food service, but someone should not be paid more for flipping burgers than for providing care for children. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you. Next witness. Tickle. Pardon me.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of committee. My name is Robin Shelp, and I'm the Director of Policy and Advocacy for Kids Win Missouri. We advocate on issues of child well-being, including early care and education, health care, and other issues. We want to go on record in support of this bill and the substitute. Diapers are taxed as a luxury. I am the mother of 3 boys, one with a disability, and I have purchased diapers for 17 years straight and will probably continue to do so. So I can assure you diapers are not a luxury, they're a necessity. And Missouri families with infants and toddlers, as well as, which hasn't been mentioned today, children and adults with disabilities will benefit greatly from this. I don't want to just restate what was said. We echo childcare is in a crisis right now, and we strongly support the creation of the tax credits. They are part of a historic and multi-pronged early childhood investment proposal by the governor, and we appreciate how both the governor and Senator Arthur continue to prioritize early care and education.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none. Thank you. And next.
Madam Chairman, David Winton here on behalf of several organizations. Want to go on record in support of the underlying bill as well as the substitute. Appreciate the time. I'm here for Goodwill of Western Missouri and Eastern Missouri, MERS Goodwill, the Jewish Federation of St. Louis, BJC Healthcare, Cox Health, the National Association of Social Workers in St. Louis County. And thank you very much for the opportunity to sit here.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none. Thank you. Good morning. Before you get started, do we have anyone who would like to testify in opposition of? Okay, thank you. And you're testifying in favor of?
I am testifying in favor of the child care tax credit. I'm also in favor of the diaper tax relief as well. But my name is Jessica Keever. I am the Director of Child Care Services at the Jefferson City Area YMCA here in town. I've done this for about 17 years. We serve about 1,100 kids a year through our child care programs. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about our Early Childhood Center. We've had it since the 1990s. We run it at a deficit of about $100,000 a year. We fund the center through a variety of ways. The United Way is a great supporter of ours. We use contracts with the state to help pay for those fees. We have private donors, and then we obviously charge parents fees. Right now, we have about 75 kids enrolled. We're licensed for 132. We've got probably 56 kids that are on the wait list, and that doesn't count the parents that call us every day and just hang up the phone when we tell them how many kids are on the wait list. There's more of them than not. Right now, we can't supply childcare for more families due to 2 reasons. Number 1, we can't find enough staff. And number 2, the more children that we serve, the more money that our program loses. Right now, we charge about $975 a month for an infant spot. Our cost for providing that spot is almost $1,700 a month. So obviously, taking another baby, it's $1,000 a month right there. So we support any relief that would allow us to continue serving the kids that we have and to get those kids off the waiting list. It's a real need. Parents call us in tears on a daily basis because they can't find childcare. So thank you for letting me testify.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none. Thank you so much. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Brooke Oliver, and I'm the CEO of the Mexico YMCA and the Eastern Missouri YMCA. Statewide, the YMCA is the largest provider of childcare in the state of Missouri, with nearly 20 early childhood programs and 199 after-school programs. Jessica just mentioned that we serve over 11,000 children across the state, with even more on the waiting list at each facility. We appreciate that this program, or this package, includes childcare programs for ages 0 to 12, as all children deserve access to quality childcare programs. More importantly, so parents can work full-time. This package includes nonprofits so that it helps us serve more of the families who need us the most. And as a YMCA operator, we are appreciative of the opportunity to fill that need and appreciate any support that allows us to continue to serve more families. Thank you.
Questions? Senator Brown.
So, would the experience you said you're with the Mexico YMCA?
Yes, sir.
The deficit that was spoken about previously, is that in line with what you're experiencing?
Our biggest challenge is staffing, and so although we're licensed to house more folks, we don't have the resources to serve that many because of the age requirement on what it means to be a staff person in these licensed programs. We have to have an 18-year-old. Well, having an adult who is willing to take a minimum wage job for a couple hours a week is a unicorn, and it's rare find, and so that really limits our ability. We do get subsidy for some of our students who participate in the program, and so we aren't making profits on that. Our goal is to break even and serve a need in the community, and we are struggling to do that like most facilities.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none. Okay, and just for our timely, how many more do we have to testify in favor of? One more? Okay.
I'm the final one.
Well, we have one more.
My name
Proceed.
is Samantha Wilson, and I'm the child care director at the Mexico Area Family YMCA. And I am in support of this bill and of the substitute because it will enable our child care providers to serve our youth and our families in the community in a more impactful way. Our YMCA currently serves 25 kids, but we are licensed for 45, so we have the potential to grow that number with this bill being passed. Any legislative action that we can promote child care offerings and reduce the barriers will give access and help to providers in to provide more quality programs. So taking these steps to support providers like the YMCA and investing in youth and in their futures. And then I also want to mention too, as someone else has mentioned, I myself have a child with special needs, and at the age of 20 is still currently wearing diapers and pull-ups as well, and that will be his foreseeable future. That's not going to change, so both sides of this bill will be helpful to a lot of families and a lot of people. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Be sure you leave a witness form. Thank you. Okay. I think you're the last person to testify in favor of.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, my name is Ron Berry. I'm a registered lobbyist. I'm here on behalf of the St. Louis Area Diaper Bank, and we just want to go on record in support.
Wonderful. Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, appreciate your testimony. Okay, and so just for the record, do we have anybody who would like to testify in opposition to? Seeing none, do we have anybody who would like to testify for informational purposes only? Seeing none, that concludes the hearing on your bill, Senator Arthur. And so no further, unless you have any final comments.
If you have any other questions or ideas, I am always open and willing to work with anyone. Thank you.
No further business coming before this committee. I make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? All in favor? Oh, I have a second. We are adjourned. Thank you. Let's make sure we have our witness forms. I guess I do.